Dreams like a kaleidoscope. Life's just some shitty list I wrote of everything I've ever broke. A circus of debris, of every jagged word I've spoke, every cigarette I've smoked. If ever you were told to don't ever change a thing. Floating down the stream of time, teach this pilgrim, make him shine. Floating down the stream, what's it gonna be? You can't take what isn't mine. Oh, the flood that comes in all my dreams, the tsunami of memories. Take me where they'll bury me, acquaint me with the stones. For every brick and every beam, a slave will work in sweat and bleed, and an architect collects his fee. All floods do run to home. Floating down the stream of time, teach this pilgrim, make him shine. Floating down the stream, what's it gonna be? Teach this pilgrim out of time. Oh, before the sun completes its arc and leaves us wintering and dark, is there a language here or just strange marks? Some alphabet of souls, some memories whisper low remarks, others never ceasing bark like dogs in some sunless park, forever digging holes. Floating down the stream of time, make him shine. Floating down the stream, what's he gonna be? You can't take what isn't mine. Oh, the day will come when I awake, and the cold wind of the dawn will say, I don't care if you go or stay, just don't forget your soul. Vanity like leaden plates, protect me from what radiates. Reality's dishonest weight, pass through me and go on. Floating down the stream of time, takes this pilgrim, make him shine. Floating down the stream, what's he gonna be? Teach this pilgrim out of time. Oh, everything's good until it goes bad. Wise man lives a long way from the lab. All aboard the plague train to the gain of function junction. But watch where you step, and they got all kinds of bioweapons begging to get loose and cause a disruption. Way out on Little Plum Island, out in the Atlantic Ocean, they're studying disease, stuffing ticks and fleas full of diabolical potions, experimenting, making germs, stirring up a pot of plague chowder. See, in this form of study, the tick bites the bunny, then you dry the blood and mill it into a powder. Playing Willy Wonka with disease is bound to backfire in time. And what would you know, strange symptoms started to show just across the water in a town called Lyme. Everything's good until it goes bad. Wise man lives a long way from the lab. Now 500,000 people a year get the strange disease called Lyme. Chronic fatigue makes you weak in the knees. More people getting it all the time, and the rent's always due on your government flu, and the rent is getting high. Lyme won't kill you, but the folks will tell you, you just as soon wish you would. But the children don't forget. So in 20 short years you can live to regret that.
happy Thursday. It's me, Christy from Flip City Magazine, and you're tuned in to Creative Chaos. This is a show dedicated to shining a spotlight on fascinating people creating fantastic things outside the mainstream. The mainstream. And I've got a good one for you tonight. You guys, I am like blown away at number one that we got our stream kind of taken down. I'm thinking we're live again, producer extraordinaire Cosmic Grandpa did not tell me that we're not live, so I think we're good. But I'm also blown away at how many people came over to show us support because of the guest I have on tonight. We'll be introducing him soon enough, but I want to bring in my sidekick. So let's bring in Batman.
Howdy, 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 everyone.
Hello. It's
Good
so
to see
wonderful
you.
to see you. Oh, we were dark last week, so I really missed you.
Yeah, that was crazy. I get it. I understand. Things happen, and you got to do what you got to do. But we're back. We're back this
Good.
week, and now I've got the hiccups. Oh my goodness.
Oh, well, this will be fun. An extra layer of comedy.
Absolutely.
Batman hiccuping through the show. This is fantastic, dude. We've got Mouth Agape Ape popping in saying greetings to everyone. And he's a Flip City subscriber. Hello. It's the first time I've seen your username, so come back as much as you want. We do this every week at the same time, and we get to meet all kinds of really cool people that are doing their best to have an impact on culture.
Absolutely. And Vulcan Lives out there is shouting me out. Good to see you, Vulcan Lives.
Yeah, let's
Lost
say hi.
Main
Let's
91.
let's say hi to the
Hova
chat. Yes.
Red Row and Australian 03 are in the chats. I'm just scanning through. A Christian Weeb, Mouth Agape, Matthew
Yeah.
Creek, Flatey One.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna pop things up here.
yeah, please do.
Yeah, so
I'm
we've
just
got
shouting them out for what I see in the chat. PJ
Australian
Bear.
Australian 3 coming over from pop culture rocks. But dude, boy whiteboard saying just wanted to pop in to say leftist 18-year-old was reading the latest issue in the car and they were both cracking up. That is the freaking goal.
That's
Like
awesome.
that warms my heart. Like my heart's almost melting. I might get a little
Clem.
serious, but Clint, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it was a bonding experience. Oh my God. It's happening.
Very cool.
And good stuff popping in saying, hi, all. What is up, Matthew Creek? I know you're popping in probably over on the Madness Comic Network channel. Jerry the Warhorse, hello, welcome. I hope you guys all enjoy the show. Vulcan Lives, of course, our super duper awesome mod that's here every week. And Flatey One saying evening. And then also commenting on the music, kind of us going dark for a few seconds there.
Well, that's because PukeTube is a real piece of work.
Kova Red Row policy violations. Sure, Jan. All right, I'm super excited for the chat tonight too because we've got a lot of new people in here. I do want to get the show started though. What's up, Christian Weeb and Lost Vein 91? Lots of people coming over to hang out on a different channel with Pop Culture Rocks, our guest tonight, and Davina Duckworth MTM27 saying howdy, good people. And I think we are caught up. If I missed anybody, I'm terribly sorry. Our chat's not normally this busy so early in the game.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Bruce, are you snacking as well, trying to get rid of those hiccups?
Yeah, I bought myself some dinner on my way back. I had a meeting tonight, a late meeting that was supposed to end at 8:30, and it didn't end until 8:45. So I rushed back here to the office to set up for the show, but I hadn't eaten today. So I grabbed myself a couple of slices of pizza. So I'm sitting here and I'm putting some blue cheese crumble on my buffalo chicken pizza slice.
Fantastic. Sounds delicious. Feel free if you're gonna get too messy, you can turn your camera off. But otherwise,
Probably will, but I want to be here for the guest, and I want to be able to do fanboy for us and stuff, and then I'll chow down while you're grilling him about his projects.
all right. That sounds like a good plan. And Davina Duckworth saying, enjoy the pizza. But
Thank you.
and then Vulcan saying it sounds delicious. You guys, we would not be doing Creative Chaos without Flip City Magazine. This is why I do the show. Besides meeting all kinds of awesome people, I do it to let people know that the American Comic Satire Magazine is back. If you loved Mad and Cracked and stuff like that and kind of miss them, and you're not a dirty, filthy, disgusting commie with no sense of humor, you're going to freaking love Flip City Magazine. This is the latest edition. It's volume 24 with volume 25 going to print in the next couple of days. And oh, thank you. Thank you. I love this screen actually. And Bruce has got several copies there. We publish this quarterly, and we do have a campaign live. I was supposed to screen share, but we've got a few days left. I'm not screen sharing because I want to get to our guest tonight. Um, but we do have a campaign live now for volume 25. There's only 3 days left. You can go to fundmycomic.com/FlipCity25 to support it. If you forget that, you just want to check us out on our website, you can go to flipcitymag.com. We've got a free magazine for you to check out. You can check out our Substack. We kind of try to prove that we are as funny as we say we are. So that's Flip City. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And before we get really into the meat of the show, what should everybody do, Bruce?
They need to like, subscribe, share, and ring that bell. And if you're on pill.net, hit that red pill for us, everybody. And if you show us some love with some gold pills, that also helps out quite a bit.
Oh, fantastic. All right, cool. That does it for our housekeeping, Australian. I hope you do check out Flip City. I think you're gonna like it. If you like Pop Culture Rocks, you're probably going to like the content that Flip City magazine does. But I still don't know his last name. He's probably best known as Hammerhand on his YouTube channel, Pop Culture Rocks. And he's killing funding for a book, or 3 right now. It's called Prodigy and is centered in a rapidly changing world learning of superhumans, also known as terrestrial biological entities created by the God Strand. We're going to learn more about all of this, believe me. Let's watch one of his many trailers and then we'll meet Will on the other side.
Join the World Council today. Allies. Heroes. Former enemies turned friend. These are the warriors chosen by the World Coalition, the World Council, to fight the scourge of the TBE. The citizen, the fighter, the patriot, putting it all on the line for you and your family. Promoting one world government for your safety. Paid for by Cybertech Global Security Solutions in association with the United States government.
Hello there, good sir. How are you, Will?
What's up, peeps? How y'all doing out there in TV land?
All good out here. We got a little glitching going on Christy right now.
I see
She's
that.
having some trouble with her Wi-Fi.
That's all right, man. We'll carry it.
Absolutely. But so how long have you been working on this book?
The genesis for this has been around for about 30 years. I never, ever, ever expected that I would jump into something like this and I mean, give it the old heave ho effort until about 2014 or 15, when the mainstream comic industry decided that sucking dicks and eating pussy was the greatest way to go. And pardon my language, but they just
Hey, no
jumped
holds
off
barred
a cliff.
here.
They just
No
jumped
holds
off a
barred
cliff.
here.
They made everybody gay. They made everybody lesbian, and they started telling stories that 2% of the population supposed to be concerned with, but it killed the comic industry. You know, and if
Because
you're
those are the
looking,
people that don't even read comics. Most
no,
of them.
no, they don't have any idea what it is. They don't know why it works. They don't know who the core audience is, and all they see is inequity in everything. We're not represented here, so you know. Then we went ahead and I did it. I started 2 years ago. It's almost 2 years now. Setting about getting a good team, well, a great team of people to illustrate this for me. Some of it I do, but the vast majority of this is being done by Ryan Benjamin. He's doing the interiors. And I don't know if you guys know who Ryan is, but he has a wealth of experience in comics. He worked for Image for a long time. He's working with some pretty heavy hitters right now.
What's his name?
Ryan Benjamin.
I probably have heard the name, but I've been out of the comic industry quite a while now.
Yes, sir.
I,
Most people have.
I was very involved in the collector's market for a very long time under a different header. But Christy, are you back, Christy?
Hey, am I lagging too bad?
Your image
I'm here.
is, but your voice is good.
Okay, well then we shall just continue.
By all means.
Ma'am.
All right. Hey, Bruce, why don't one of the best ways that we like to get to know our guests as quickly as possible is with our very first segment. It is called Fanboys for Us, and it might be perfect for right now because it's Bruce's segment. Let's get
All right.
into it.
Let's do it.
So, Will, the way this works is I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and we really don't want you to think about it. We want you to just give us the answer that comes to the front of your mind almost immediately. Okay?
I'll do my best not to think about it.
And so calling it Fanboy for Us is you're going to tell us all of your favorites of the questions that we ask you. So the
Sure.
first one is, what's your favorite movie?
Off the top of my head, Star Wars.
We get that a lot.
Yeah.
Which one would you say your favorite? Or is there a
Well,
series, the whole series?
I think the entire original series before the 97 edits.
Right. So 2, 3, 1 or 2, 1, 3, the way they ran. Star Wars,
I just don't like to
Empire.
do that. It's 1, 2, and 3 in that order.
I agree with you. And yet
Because you
everybody
wouldn't
gets
have 2 and
crazy.
3 if you didn't have 1, right?
Correct.
So I mean, you can like one more than the other, but I don't know. I go 1, 2, 3. It's Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. Very
Yes, sir.
good. Okay. Any medium now, your favorite artist, any genre, any medium, your favorite artist.
Man, that's difficult. There's so I enjoy all entertainment, and artists. That's a tough one anymore. That's hard to answer. That's hard to answer. I would say
All
right
right,
off
we'll
the
come
top of
back.
my head, how about indie comics? We'll say Ethan Van Sciver for his work on Cyberfrog, and for all the things
All
that
right,
have gone
cool.
wrong in this guy's life, and for him to be as upwardly mobile and stout as he is. He's just an amazing fellow. Amazing fellow, doesn't get nearly the credit that he deserves.
Yeah, it's a shame that the mainstream industry tries to hold back the indie industry
Well,
in
they
any
always
way
have.
possible. It's ridiculous. They think they've cornered the market on it, and then you have people that come up out of the woodworks. I mean, Todd McFarlane, for instance, and came out of nowhere and grabbed a bunch of these artists and pulled them together and created Image Comics.
Yeah.
And then you've got,
Oh, Liefeld.
IDW, right?
Yeah.
Dark Horse and all these other guys that created the books that started the indie industry.
Yeah, I'm looking. They're right in front of my face here. The early IDW like Transformers work. Was
Oh, wow.
incredible stuff. Incredible stuff.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's too bad
All
that
right.
these companies went insane.
Yeah. Your favorite food?
Pizza.
I'm in the middle of cutting it up right now. Do you have
Pizza.
a favorite slice?
Everyone. Every one
Okay.
of them.
Every one of them. I got buffalo pizza here in front of me now. So
Oh, you mean
got
a type,
chicken
like a
with,
favorite type?
yeah.
Yeah. Double pepperoni, extra cheese, light sauce.
Okay. Okay.
So,
That works.
Heart killer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolute heart attack.
Heart attack on a bun. Yeah.
That's great. A favorite drink, alcoholic and or non-alcoholic?
I don't do the alcohol at all. So I
Okay.
would say Diet Coke outside of like little Mio drops in water and stuff. Cause I try to stay away from the Diet Coke, not real
Right.
successful with it. So yeah. And no alcohol because I have enough problems. There you go. Right. That's perfect. Yeah. I get the discount brand from Walmart, but that's what I use. That shit's
There you
expensive,
go.
man.
Yeah, well, I've had that. I've had that a little while, but it's the iced mocha Java, and it's got a little bit of a chemically taste to it, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Shit, water has a chemical taste to it nowadays.
You got that right. Sad but true.
Yep.
All right. Favorite character, any genre?
God, there's just so much out there. I'd say right off the top of my, going way, way back to when I first got in comics, I'll say Iron Man.
Nice.
Iron
Okay.
Man. In the middle 100 to 200 run is where I picked up on Iron Man.
Okay. That was before the alcoholism or during the alcoholism? I'm
That was
trying to remember.
before the alcoholism.
Okay. Very cool.
Yep.
That's wild. All right.
Cool
What
stuff.
drew you to Aquaman? What drew you to Iron Man at that time?
It was a particular comic that I picked up. I still have that book. It's sitting down here in one of my boxes. It was called something like Fight in Atlantic City, and it's got him coming over the top of Blizzard and Whiplash, and he's kicking the shit out of Blizzard. And there's a bunch of what is it called? Roulette tables going all over the place and stuff like that. And it was just a good dynamic cover. And then I started
Very
with that.
cool.
And then as soon as I was off of Iron Man, I jumped into Amazing Spider-Man around 200. And that was a good spot to jump in with them. Good spot to jump with them.
That was pre-Venom.
Way pre-Venom. Yeah,
Way pre-Venom.
that was just when I jumped in, it was just after the Norman Osborn deal, the Green Goblin, and it was
Yes.
ASM 238 coming in with
Yep.
the Hobgoblin. And that
Yep.
was a
Before
50-book
Punisher,
run.
before Scorpion.
Yep.
Before yeah.
Yep. That was when
Very cool.
they introduced the Hobgoblin, the Rose, Scourge, the first fucking the gang war, the first gang war. There's been like 3 gang wars since then.
Yeah.
They didn't even change the title of
Nope.
the crossover books. They just said gang war again. So, yeah. So good stuff.
Very cool. All right. Your very last question for Fanboy for us. Your favorite band?
I'd say right now, probably Kiss.
Really?
Yeah, probably Kiss. I mean, if I got to say one right now, I mean, I have people have said that I have an eclectic taste in music. I'll take them at their word. I listen to everything.
Yep.
But
As
Kiss-
do I. I'm right there with you.
Kiss is pretty doggone good. I mean, if we're talking about bands, I assume we mean rock band. So
Any rock and roll band in the past, 200 years.
yes. I'd have to say Kiss because they've got the fucking Destroyer and Dynasty is what I came in on. Just
That's
before that,
so-
like Love Gun.
Yep.
Great.
That was my first concert in 1977.
Yep, incredible stuff. So both of those albums, there's not one stitch of music in there that I don't like.
Yeah.
So that's it. I get shit for saying Kiss all the time, but it
God
is.
of Thunder,
God
Detroit
of
Rock
Thunder,
City,
Death, X-Ray
Love Gun.
Eyes. Yeah,
both those albums
All
are
of them.
by
Incredible.
all means my favorite.
they're incredible albums. Yep.
Yeah. I kind of grew out of Kiss, but I still listen to them periodically.
Yeah, when they traded in the makeup for the mainstream look, I lost interest. They did
You and
some
me both.
bangers. They did some bangers. That's for sure. But I
Yeah.
kind of lost interest and started moving on to other stuff. I was very stodgy back then. I didn't go really far way outside of a lane. I didn't start doing that until about the early 2000s, and then I just started opening up to everything.
Yeah. One of my family members, one of my great aunts, used to work for Casablanca Records. She used to be part of the company that actually printed the records. So
That
I
was
got Live One and Live Two from her as a
amazing.
present, which was amazing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was one of the very first records that I ever had was a double side 45 Casablanca label with Dr. Love, or
Yep.
it was either Dr. Love or Mr. Speed. I can't remember which one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Very cool.
great songs, no matter
Very
what.
cool. All right. Great. Well, that kind of gives us a flavor and a feel for who you are. And now I'm going to turn it back over to my hostess with the mostess, Christy Mack.
I'm I'm so bummed. I'm so bummed that I miss Fanboy for us. So I'll have to go back and watch the replay and get to know Will then. But Will, the reason we had you on was because we wanted to talk about your book.
Yes, ma'am.
So we've got Prodigy, and one thing that I like doing with this show in particular is like scroll campaigns and um, ask questions from there,
Sure.
or tell you what I think it is. So from what I gather from scrolling your campaign is that this is a 3-book series that has some amount of art done, and you're doing issue 0 right now.
Yes. Yes. Essentially, issue 0 and the assorted merchandise that is on this campaign is going to pay for issues 1, 2, and 3, and it's going to become a revolving door. And if there's anything that I can spin off of that has enough interest to make a spin-off, then I'll do that as well. And of course, that's not going to happen in a day, a week, or a month. All of these things take time. Bespoke comic books take time to make. Yeah, I wish we had a better word for them, a phrase, because it just doesn't seem like comic book does it enough justice. And it's no slight towards comics at all, but there's so much effort that goes into these, and like we just had a fella in this field. Basically, he gets kind of bitch slapped all of his backers and said they might not get their books. And
I've seen
people are
that on
jumping all
Twitter.
over us. Yeah. Rob Hunter, Death Raider. So
Yeah, and he did pretty good.
he made 32 grand.
Yeah.
32 grand to fund that project. It was a no brainer. It was a no brainer.
Yeah, I don't know much about the project, nor have I looked much into it. I just see what people say on Twitter and then keep scrolling.
He just should have. He was under the impression that a crowdfunder was meant to cover his bills while he was fulfilling the crowdfunder. It's not. It's not. That was never going to be the case. You got to be kind of crazy to think that that's the case. If you're crowdfunding, it's for what you're crowdfunding, not to fund your lifestyle and the crowdfund.
Right.
Obviously that doesn't make any sense, right? So that was
Well, but at the same time, now I don't know much about the guy or anything about the drama. I
true.
literally am a see what happens and then scroll on, because it stresses me out too much to involve myself. I have enough of my own problems. I'm not involving myself in yours.
Yeah.
But it is the goal. However, I would think and hope of tons of independent publishers to be able to live off of creating. Why wouldn't it
that's
be?
the goal, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal. But if in the beginning, when you're trying to make this financial machine work, you might have to put in a little bit of extra effort. I've had to put in tons of effort, and all of this has been done on the side. That's why it took 2 years to get to this point. So hopefully we're rolling the ball up the hill, and now we get to just roll it down the hill.
Okay, so you've been working on the project for 2 years so far. And also, why don't we, for anybody that doesn't know, even though it looks like a ton of your audience is here, but maybe a few people in the chat don't know what the project is. And I like to do elevator pitch, like, What is your project? What are you doing?
I don't know if that's that easy to answer.
No,
I'll tell you
you
what.
have to have an elevator pitch.
Well, this is what I like to do. I like to show what I went and did. This is the goal right here, is to get the box. Now, I have a whole bunch of stuff that goes with this that if you can't pull in, you can't pull down on the box. I understand. So I've made things that are tiered in price so that you can get something of this if you're interested in it and you feel like you want to support. But this is a very nice, sturdy, stuffed box. So if you go in on the whole box, I mean, that's what you're going to end up getting. That's what it looks like from the inside. Of course, that's not my stuff. I put something in there to show you what you're looking at. But we've got good art, good decoration all over it.
Yes. Okay.
Magnetic flap.
So that was something that I had a question about, because yeah,
Sure.
it took me a little bit like looking at your campaign to figure out what's going on with it.
Right.
So the stuffed box was really cool, and I've seen boxes, and it is time for Flip City to make their own box, but
Right.
that's neither here nor there right now. But so the stuffed box is basically people backing at a certain tier to eventually stuff it over time.
No, they're going to get, if you back it at the highest tier, you get everything on the campaign.
And that's going to be available like at the end of the campaign.
The funding phase for this ends in August.
Okay.
In the last week of August, the funding for this ends, and then I close that. It's done. And then we go to print, and then we ship. As fast as
Somebody
we print
posted-
the products back, then we ship.
Somebody just posted in the chat there's only 6 boxes left.
Yeah, I started with an initial order of 50, and we've gone to almost 150. So the stunning amount of support on those, and I order them in groups of 50 because I don't want a huge amount of overage. So there are 6 left in this current group of 50, and if we go to 7 sold, then I'm obligated to go ahead and get another 50. So that's what they're referring to. So that'll put us at over 150 of those stuffed boxes gone.
That's
Wow.
so fantastic.
Yeah, it's
What is
not
the-
anything I expected.
What is the price tag on the stuffed box?
The stuffed box is everything on the campaign that you see and everything that is going to be added at some point in time. We're almost done adding. I can't really put any more on this campaign. That's $250 plus shipping domestically and foreign.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not bad at all. We've generated a ton off of those stuffed boxes, and I have got great talent working with me on this project. I'm the owner, the creator, and the writer.
Well, so just kind of back to the project itself, the Prodigy trilogy.
Right.
Okay. So what's it about? So I like telling people what I think it's about, and then you can correct me.
Sure, go ahead.
So basically, what I gathered is it's basically superhumans being created because of a certain strand of their DNA being activated, and then they get reclassified as terrestrial biological entities by the government, and then the governments have to deal with them.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
The TBEs are the purest form of the Godstrand. And it takes a certain amount of events to activate a TBE, and the vast majority of them die in the process. Up until recently, up until about the turn of the last century, is when they started surviving, and that coincided with the Tunguska blast over Russia, which wiped out hundreds of miles of forest. It was speculated that it was an asteroid, but nobody really knows. So that was before we had good enough equipment to go in there. That site was excavated at some point in time by an independent agency, and they found that there were nanite particles in it, which obviously couldn't exist here because we didn't have it yet. And then they come to find out that the nanites can and probably do reconstruct the Godstrand. So everybody, once they became aware of it, everybody started pursuing it, because if you control that, you control the world.
Right. Ooh,
So-
sounds kind of like there's a lot of evil in this book.
There is, but there's a lot of good in it too.
Okay. So So it's a trilogy. Now, how far into production are you right now? Of
As far as book zero is concerned, that's done. I'm
Okay.
just waiting on my artist to deliver the art, and then hopefully we'll have that by the end of the funding phase in the last week of August. And as soon as we go to print on that, I have a rough outline and a draft of books one, two, and three, and then I'll start writing.
Okay, cool. Fantastic to know about that. I know a lot of your audience probably has been the biggest supporters of you. And I'm so happy that you came on because I didn't even know you were a YouTuber. And that's
You were telling me that. That's funny.
yeah, yeah, I didn't know because I liked your salty spiciness on Twitter. And I'm
Thank you.
like, "Oh, I got to have this guy on Creative Chaos. I think he's going to have a good time and he's got a book." Right? And then I look at your campaign and I'm like, "Damn, he's doing real good." And this seems like book 1. This is the first thing that you've done, am I correct?
Yes, this is the first thing that I have ever crowdfunded. And like I said, I wasn't expecting this response. My outside optimistic projection for this was 30 grand, which we can make it work for 30 grand. Not much profit in the end of that, but what we've done is just incredible. And I think that we still have more to go. So as we inch towards closeout, I suspect that we'll probably end up somewhere between 70 and 75. And if more, the more the merrier. But I think realistically, probably 72, 73, somewhere around there.
You're
Yeah.
currently at almost 55, a little over 55,000.
We're at almost 67,000.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
I
Are
don't know what
you
I looked at earlier today. I thought it was 55.
Yeah, they,
are
they give a separate set of numbers there, but you got to look at the top number.
Gotcha.
are you doing Indiegogo exclusively or are you doing multiple campaigns
Yeah,
or plans
it's
for different
exclusively
sites?
exclusively on Indiegogo this time around. We're looking at Fund My Comic and Indiegogo for the next book. So it's essentially for book one. I'd like to
Okay.
split it between the platforms. The only reason that I didn't do that this time was because I was unsure of the amount of money that I would have to come up with. It's like you're kind of hedging your bets. Are you going to get more backers and supporters if you go to another site? Is it going to be worth the site fee that you end up paying? So that's why I did
Right.
that.
Well, we here at Flip City Magazine are 100% Fund My Comic supporters. Like, it's basically the indie version of those bigger
Yeah,
sites.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like
It
we
is.
gotta support them. So I'm super happy to hear that you're gonna do a campaign over there and bring your audience. Hopefully, they'll want to support over there. 1% platform fee. You cannot beat
No,
that.
you can't beat that, and that's a lot better than what I'm paying now. But we did a lot better than I expected. So yeah, I can't really be tore up about it. It's a learning
Oh yeah.
experience the first time around. Everything that we've done here is a learning experience. I'm still learning, and as we go to printing and fulfillment, I'll be learning more. So, but you get that first campaign out of the way, make a success of that, and then you can just keep rolling.
Well, would you mind if we talked a little bit about your YouTube channel and
No,
and
no,
what you do? Because, like I said, I discovered you were a YouTuber after I found out that you're independently publishing. Um, would you would you say that because you have a YouTube channel and have built your audience up already, that's given you a lot of your crowdfunding
I'd say that it's most of it. Yeah.
success?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'd say that it's the vast majority of it, and not to discount what has come out of, say, Comicsgate or the comic indie scene, but I would definitely say that the people that I deal with over on Hammerhand are a large part of it. They have to be. They have to be because nobody knows me in the other spot, in the other space. Why would you take a chance on that person? The name recognition for my artist is pretty heavy, but people are really sketchy about doing things like that nowadays. So yeah, I firmly believe that 90% of my audience is doing it. So yeah,
Well, they obviously love you because you're killing your first campaign.
well, I love them
And
back.
yeah, right. Now have you experienced like cuz social media, it's just a cesspool.
Yep.
And it's basically that whole crabs in a bucket type of thing, somebody sees
Yes.
somebody be successful and then it's time to talk shit and try to bring them down. Um have you experienced much of that? Like who's this
Daily,
guy?
daily.
Okay.
Daily. When I first started, like I said, when we were backstage, the Hammerhand, and that's the 10th incarnation of that channel, because it's been shit canned 9 times previously. And in the first one, Hammerhand 1 and 2, I was getting death threats by the week, and that lasted for 2 or 3 years. So, and I just take it with a grain of salt as it comes. That's just what comes with the internet. Is it right? No. You know,
Right.
do you need more laws and restrictions to dummy people up? No, you don't need that either. It's a tough place to be in, but censorship is not my thing. I don't believe in it. So at all.
No, absolutely. Well, tell me more. Okay, so this, like you said, it's your 10th incarnation. I know all about, the YouTube bannings and the major purges and
Yeah.
shadow banning and all that. I mean,
Yep.
like everybody,
Yep.
anybody pretty much that would watch your show or my show. So as far as YouTube goes, in like them allowing you to have a subscriber base, like what was your largest subscriber base?
It's gonna. I don't know how to say this, so I'm just gonna say it.
Mm.
YouTube changed their system around Hammerhand 2 or 3, and there were still back doors in the system that you could get into when you're going through your analytics, where you can see your subscribed and unsubscribed accounts. People that come to your channel but aren't subscribed to your channel, and then people that are subscribed that come there. They were the outside screen, like the one that you would see if you went to my channel or anybody else, would say that it was 48,000 or 58,000. In my analytics, it's saying that it's 600,000, 500,000. Absolute total suppression. I took a stock of all of the views that my channels have garnered since I started this, and I'm currently involved in a lawsuit against Alphabet with a lawyer that is on YouTube, who they did this to. So we'll see how that goes. But from Hammerhand 1 until the current one right here, we're over 300 million views. I mean, it's a stunning success. Clearly, people want to hear what is being said. A lot of people have a lot to lose. They have a lot to lose by having their face attached to those words, because we live in a culture that supports retribution against words.
Like physical retribution,
Like
not just
death.
Yeah.
Death. Yes.
Cancel culture at its finest.
Yeah. We had a comic guy, a respected comic guy, come out yesterday and say, cancel culture is dead. No, it's not. It's alive and well. It has a heartbeat, and it's got a spear in each hand, and it's looking for something to stab. It's 100% alive. It's kicking. So yeah, we've had a good time here. A good time. You just kind of take into consideration what's going on with the folks that oppose you when you're saying things that are absolutely rational and common sense.
yes.
You
It
just
is
take it into
spooky,
consideration.
right?
Yeah, absolute fucking lunacy. But most of this comes from a point of view of these people. They're in pain. They're in a lot of pain, and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to act. And on top of all of that, they're indoctrinated, brainwashed, and propagandized 24 hours a day. So they're so fucked up. They don't know what to do.
I was just going to say, they've been programmed.
They're programmed. Yeah. And when you get to the end of the programming, it's usually violence at the end of the program. When you hit them with something and they do a cold reboot right in front of you.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
They're doing this shit and they're like, oh, kill that motherfucker. And that's where you get when you get to the end of their programming, and the pre-programmed responses, the generic guttural responses that these folks have. They will try to harm you. They'll try to hurt you. It's just a sense of satisfaction. They've been taught to take glee in getting you canceled from a job, getting your license stripped, getting CPS up your ass over your kids, just because they can.
Swatting you.
Which is a huge thing now. I mean, there have been a few people that have been killed in swattings because they didn't know that the cops were coming in their door. They were protecting themselves, and the cops killed them.
Yep.
So, and then when they find out who did the swatting, these motherfuckers are gone now. Now that you're going to prison for 20 years. So, it just shows you that the world is pretty disconnected. People.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why I
okay.
prefer working with dogs.
I still love humanity. I can't help myself.
I
Because
don't dislike them. Man, I'm a friend to anybody that wants to be a friend, but that's really a loaded proposition out here now too, because you find out real fast just how fucking needy most people are. It's okay to be needy, but you got to take care of most of that yourself. And it's okay to have a shoulder to lean on. It is. It's okay. But you've got to develop a foundation from which you can operate and survive in this world. And there's not a lot of people out there saying this, because when they say that, it takes that dependence aspect out of those people. You see, and the people around you, the bankers, the corporations, the money people, they want you to be dependent. That's why you can't hunt, fish, collect rainwater. You can't build your own house.
well, you know what? Actually, so sounds like, you've been talking about this stuff for a while on YouTube.
Yes, ma'am.
I love red pill experiences.
There it is.
Like stories. No, like please tell me, when did you start like deprogramming? Like what was it that like clicked in your brain? And just give me a little glimpse into how you reacted.
I would say that it happened incrementally. You can
Of
still
course.
be aware of some things and still be very, very blue pilled, which is just normal. That's what normal people are out here. They're just blue pilled. The thing that really kicked it off was waking up one day. I went to bed one day with my children's mother. We had a couple of problems, and then I woke up, and then we were not a couple anymore. And just by her wish. And I said, okay, if you don't want to be with me, that's fine. It sucks, it hurts, but you gotta go be happy. And I was still saying that, and I still believed that at that point. But when she took the kids and then refused to let me see the kids, and then the law backed her on that, that's where I started to wake up.
If you don't
Okay.
mind me asking, what state was that?
That was in Louisville, in Kentucky.
Wow.
Yeah. They can do it to you in any state that doesn't have 50-50 mandatory or encouraged. They can do that to you in any state.
That's why.
So heart-wrenching. It's
yeah.
so heart-wrenching because I love my dad so much. Like, I couldn't imagine if that happened in my own life.
It's I wish I could say that it was like some one and done thing. I was down for 3 years over that. I could not function properly because I didn't understand what was going on. And when she was gone, one of the biggest realizations was I had spent so much time managing what was going on with her and taking care of her mentally and physically that I didn't know who I was anymore as a person. I didn't know. So I had to rebuild my whole life from scratch. And it's hard to come back to those loves and likes and interests that you lost along the way. It doesn't feel the same. So it's hard to reignite those passions, but we got there.
Okay. So then how long ago was so you went from there basically, having your kids taken away, seeing how the justice system is set up against men really
Yeah.
seems that way at least.
It is that way.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. The justice system is fucked up all over the place.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm
my
sure you
my
know.
brother has a good saying about that. He says they shouldn't call it the justice system. They should call it the injustice system.
Yes.
And I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah. So you've had CPS involved in your life?
Not me personally, no.
Oh, good.
Friends of ours were they had somebody they were beefing with the adults, so the adults started calling CPS and DCPS on them, making claims of abuse. So it's just to fuck their lives up, just to be like, see, because the system allows for that to happen. It allows for that to happen, and there's basically no retribution to the original perpetrator. They might get a slap on the wrist, or they might get their ass kicked a little bit for making a false police report. But that's not even a police report. That's just a Department of Children Affairs report. So it very rarely comes with consequences. Only recently have you seen consequences for things like swatting.
Right. Well, hey, I just wanted to say, because I'm seeing so many great comments in the chat. Your audience obviously very much loves you, and thanks you for difficult red pilling experiences.
Sure.
And I wanted to bring one up here though. Yeah. So, Gus Kid 83 says, Hammer, talk about these things help me work through a similar situation, which I can only imagine there's more than we freaking know.
Sure.
Right.
There always
And
is.
so he's making music again. By the way, Ghost Kid, let me know where I can find your music. I'm so sad what happened to Will. Let me know where I can find your music. And if you want to be a house band, I'd be happy to check it out and play it here on Creative Chaos. I'm always looking for independent musicians.
I don't know what happened there. So
I don't know either.
That's right. A loose cable or something.
Do you feel like your YouTube channel is like, do you feel like you're on a mission to, number one, expose, but also kind of create a community, where there's kind of support and things?
I never sat out to create a community. My entire premise was, if I could get one man to hear this and understand it and not self-destruct, then I've accomplished something. And as it turned out, we've had hundreds and hundreds of men send letters and emails, text us, declare on streams that they were going to end their lives until they found me or Undead Chronic or Terrence Pop or Lion of MGTOW. Any of the men that speak about these issues openly and honestly, Sandman, any of these guys. I could mention 20 or 30 more, but the point is that nobody was doing this very honestly at all. They all try to sweep it back into the laps of men. They're disgusted by weak men, but they're also disgusted by the fact that men are not fucking with them now, not messing with them now, that they're working on themselves. So everybody's looking for somebody to blame, and men are just trying to get cleaned up and take care of business.
So it's kind of like life coaching.
I resist the idea of being called a life coach, because I made a pretty good mess of my life. The only thing that I can do is talk to people honestly and tell them about the experiences that I have gone through. And I always use myself as the measure of that. I say, I fucked up here, I fucked up there, I fucked up there. This is something that you might want to look at down the road, or I've had experience with this, this, and this, and you're not being told this, this, and this. So maybe you should know that before you get to that point.
Okay, so obviously this is all like pretty much revolving around the MGTOW, the men going their own way movement. I don't know if you claim that label
openly.
Yes. Please tell me how much propaganda there is surrounding that hashtag, basically. Like, because me, even somebody that considers myself kind of open-minded and everything, I look at a lot of MGTOW stuff and I'm like, these people actually these men are so demoralized or whatever in life experience. They fucking hate women. Is that is that kind of true? Or
no, I think
it feels that way to me.
That gets conflated with people that grab that red pill banner. And then people try to put, there are factions and sects underneath what's called the manosphere. If you're talking to a MGTOW guy, you're talking to a guy that has essentially checked out of all of that. So trying to blame and shame him is going to be a fruitless endeavor. It's not going to lead anywhere for you. You're trying to start fights with him or arguments with him or get him to justify his existence. It's going to go nowhere. That will be successful with other people that are dependent on validation, that are dependent on physical touch. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't have that. And I'm not saying that you don't have a reasonable expectation to want that. Men and women are complementary. You should be together, but you shouldn't be governed and licensed by your government when you get together. And that's where a lot of this problem is happening. We have enormous social dysfunction. And most of that is encouraged by your government. You can see that the government is making turns now when you have people like J.D. Vance out there directly addressing young men and talking about you shouldn't feel demonized, you shouldn't feel ashamed, you shouldn't feel this, that, and the other. We couldn't have imagined that 10, 12 years ago. Couldn't have imagined that. And then I had somebody start leaking to me that specifically MGTOW men were being addressed in Parliament, Canadian Parliament, British Parliament with fucking CIA attaches. So there's a direct attempt to try to link us with being unhealthy and being violent.
Yes.
There's a direct attempt to make that. They're waiting for somebody to come out with a manifesto, grab an M16 to a school and say, I'm a MGTOW. I did it.
For
That's
sure.
That's what they're waiting for. They're absolutely waiting for it. We've already had articles written in the New York Post and the Washington Times about MGTOW is the Taliban of the manosphere.
Oh my God. Well, the one thing that just pops into my mind about it is I did watch that Netflix series of the British kid.
Of course you
And
did.
I did. And, I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then because Netflix kept recommending it, and I'm like, fine,
Yeah, that's
I'll watch
propaganda.
it. I'll watch. Oh, fuck. Yes, it
Yeah,
was. Like,
that's
even as I was
100%
watching
propaganda.
it, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, this is propaganda
Yes.
against the whole,
Yes.
the whole MGTOW thing. And,
Yes.
and then, after the fact, I started reading some articles. And the boy they based it on, what was? It is comical. It's to the point of for people that
Yeah.
want to laugh at it. I mean, you should.
Well, maybe you should.
We should
It's-
mock
it's-
and ridicule
You think
that
a little
end of
bit
it.
harder about it, right? Laughing at it's fine, but when you think about when you contextualize it a little bit and you start thinking about the amount of production that it requires to get that lie out to people on Netflix, who's backing it? Who suggested it? Who wrote it? Who
Do you
funded
know?
it? Oh yeah, Netflix directly supported it and funded it. And things like that come through feminist groups that recommend it to Netflix. 100%.
Yeah, makes sense. That
So-
tracks.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's nothing wrong with folks being equal under the eyes of the law. Nothing wrong whatsoever. But to suggest equality amongst men and women it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Now, you can look at the examples that have been set out here very recently. Everybody wants to say Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King. That was a put on. That was a put on. And Bobby Riggs admitted that it was a put on. Look at the things that are going on out here now. I mean, yeah, world-class athletes like Serena Williams. Nobody would dispute that Serena Williams is probably the best female tennis player in the world. And she was dominated by a guy that was over 200 ranked. He dismissed her, and she said clearly in many, many appearances on late night TV that she would never play a man because she's not as big, as strong, and as fast. It's a completely different world. And that didn't go over very well with the people that were trying to clap for her. So
Right.
it's not that you can't be equal in the eyes of the law, because you can be, and you are for the most part. I would say even a little more equal, depending on what kind of law you're talking about. But you've got to have some common sense too. You could just tell that the world is riddled with delusion, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And if people don't stand up and start talking about it and put that shit to bed, and there might not be a human race or a Western civilization in 100 years. We can't survive it.
Yeah, I mean, it's practically like we hardly have a Western civilization anymore anyway. I mean, the United States is the major holdout, but
Yeah, it
How
is. And why is that? Right? If you think about why the United States is so different from every other Western world, it's the pew-pews, but it's the fact that we broke away from an established monarchy to form our own way of life. No other Western country has done that.
it is baked into the DNA of our country, and why
Sure.
I love it so much.
Sure,
know,
sure.
It's
Sure,
like,
to be a little bit arrogant, to be a little headstrong, to fight for your independence, to fight each other tooth and nail. But if somebody from the outside comes in and starts fucking around, both of you jump them. That's kind of the way that Americans are, and that's the way that they're viewed. and I don't mind that. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Well, so for me in particular, I think a lot of places in the United States, you might live in a decent area, but you walk or drive 10 minutes and you're in a piece of crap neighborhood.
Oh yeah,
And me as a woman, because, you know, I shouldn't, I don't know. I don't, in the, in this day and age, I don't think I should be walking the streets alone, even in the United States. And because it's freaking scary out there. But if you hold your head high, nobody knows if you're carrying, and
yeah,
they're not going to fuck with
I'll
you.
agree with you. It would be safer to just carry.
Yeah.
If you don't live in New
Wink.
York, it's safer to just carry. Just
Yep.
carry. Learn how to use it, and learn how, if a bad guy or a bad girl decide, and that's happening a lot too. If they decide to come at you, you put them away, put your gun down, call the cops. That's just the way that it has to be. Australian, yeah, we are. We make Sodom and Gomorrah look like a ticker tape parade.
I
Yeah,
think you're right.
it's
Yep.
really, really, really bad here now. Really bad here. People keep quoting and citing Weimar, Weimar Germany prior to World War II, and yeah, we're a lot worse than that. We're a lot worse than that, and there's a lot of people with their hands in this pie, and a lot of them are refusing to get called out. But it's on the way. It's on the way. They simply don't have a choice anymore. There's too much information, too much access to information, and that accountability is coming.
All right. Fantastic. Well, hey, I think we got really heavy for a creative chaos.
Yes. I'm sorry to make the tone go downhill a little bit.
No. I love shows like this. When somebody well spoken, especially on a specific topic, can come in and lend a little bit of legitimacy to us.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
and the chat is just going insane.
They
Thank you,
are
guys.
great. They're very passionate about what they do, man. So they're great.
Yeah. Oh, and here, Australian also. And I think this is Serena Williams. Ironically, she's built like a man.
And she is, yes.
Yeah.
She's a very muscular woman, and she'd be the first one to tell you that they don't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance against the top men, and it's like the top hundreds of men. So it just is what it is. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. That's why we have
No.
classes for competition.
Well, it's also why we should keep men out of women's sports, for fuck's sake.
Exactly right. And if you've done a little bit of digging, which I think that you have, you understand who voted for that. Who voted for it? They look like you.
Not like me. They have blue hair.
Well, okay. I'll take that one. But yeah, that's a fact, is that this stuff has come full circle to bite these people in the ass. I mean, directly. And now you're having to deal with these communist and Marxist and socialist circles, and they don't care about you and how long you've been here
I know.
and what the norms used to be. They don't care.
So here's my thought on that whole, transgender thing is it's about the most misogynist thing there fucking is. There's these men walking around doing caricatures of women, pretending like they know what it is. Because I have this brain chemistry that I have to deal with, and it
Sure.
sucks.
Sure. Yeah, all of us do. I don't know if I can go with the misogynist part of it. If you understand where these men are coming from, the chances are very, very good that they grew up in an incredibly liberalized environment which discourages and demonizes masculinity, or they grew up with gay parents at some point in time, a single mother household. There is no denying that this dysfunction is tracked back to these causes, these three root causes directly. And the icing on the cake is the amount of BPAs that you're catching in water now, in just drinking water. The monoplastics, plastic filaments, all of this shit is being found in newborn babies, plastics. So
that's so sad.
And that alters what goes on with us. Florida, I live in Florida, just banned fluoride and fluorine in their water sources. And of course, it's been here since I was a kid, but they just said no to it. Well, they also said at the same time, very quietly, that there's a connection between fluoride and fluorine and estrogen development in men, specifically in men. So, and that's what kills your fucking T levels, and that's what stops you from being masculinized, per se. So, there's a lot of evil out here in the world, and these people knew what they were doing when they did it. So, but I don't think that you can get this back. I don't think that we can go backward now. We're in a
Okay.
lot of trouble.
All right. Well, on that note, I think although we've been doing this the entire night, I do have a special segment. It is called Mansplain.
Hey,
And
of course it is.
the reason I made it is because I know, like me as a woman, I can provide a platform for a man to stand on and explain something. But
Let's
we are
go.
going. We're going to get a little bit more lighthearted in this. But before I ask the question, we're going to actually get into the segment.
Except now that men won't mansplain to me, I'm realizing I don't know how to do anything.
Wow. That says it all.
So when we were talking about your crowdfunding experience earlier, because this is your first crowdfund that you've done, and you've been killing it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
I'd like to thank the chat and all of the folks that have jumped in on this and made that possible. So thanks to them too.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to the Pop Culture Rocks audience. Obviously, you guys showed up for Will here, but you had mentioned that you learned a ton of lessons.
Yeah.
And I do also like to try to provide value to my personal viewers because I have a lot of people in the indie publishing scene that watch this show. So, from your perspective, can you explain what your biggest one or two lessons through your first attempt at crowdfunding have been?
Oh man, my biggest one or two lessons. Well, money
Just-
management wasn't part of the problem. So the money thing is good. We're good on that. I would say learning how. It's a lot of trial and error. I started out commissioning a couple of well-known folks to do a couple of random pictures for me that I knew I would probably include in this project at some point in time, and then going from there to a story. Okay, that'll be one. I never had any practical experience writing a comic story from panel to panel, and Ryan Benjamin, who is my artist, has a ton of experience with that. So he was very patient with me, and he sat down and he explained to me what he needed in order to get those pages produced. And he sent me a script from a book that he wrote a few years ago. I went and got the book and then compared it with the script so that I could see what he was talking about. And that's how I have structured my book going forward based on his information and his script. So
Okay.
he wasn't the writer, he was the artist, but he gave me the writer's script to show me what he sees when I'm writing. So it made it clearer for me to understand how to write a book and compose a book. You don't just sit down and write it. There's a lot of things that you have to fill in, along the way to give the artist perspective from panel to panel, page to page over the course of the story.
Okay, fantastic. Will, I am getting, and I've seen it over and over in chat. People are saying your mic. I'm hearing you fine. They're thinking your mic got switched. If you wanted to click the little wrench thing or the cog thing and check. But I'm hearing Will fine, you guys. This is me woman-splaining to you that you
It did
should chill.
get switched. It did, and it's not showing.
It's not
No,
even
no.
like showing your cool little ball mic there.
All right. Yeah, when we got blinked out there, I thought we were still on this.
Oh, that is much better. There's
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
less echo and stuff.
Thanks,
Dude,
Chad. Much appreciation.
it is so funny. Like everybody in chat is so obviously your audience. They're like, oh, this happened again.
This
And
happens.
David-
Yeah.
exactly. David is like, it's the laptop mic.
That's right. That's right. It is. It is the laptop mic. It's right up there, and it sounds like it's 100 miles away.
Well, I'm super happy to hear that, people that you're working with are like giving you tips and advice to like,
Yeah.
help you be successful.
I'll say one other thing. And it's not exactly what I want to say, but for people that are thinking about this down the road, you have a lot of folks out there in whatever community you decide to go to be a part of and participate in, they'll glad hand, they'll pat you on the back, all the way up to the point where you're serious about it. And then you got to find your own way. Oh, we'll help anybody. We'll do it. Sure, that's what we'll do that for you. And as soon as you're ready, 90% of them, they're in the wind. So because instantly you're going to become competition. I don't want to compete with anybody. I just want to sell the book and a good story to folks. But inevitably, you're going to be viewed as competition. If I've got 70 grand in my account, that's 70 grand that other folks didn't get. So, and they will be shitty about it. And we just had a very prime example of that with Rob Hunter and Death Raider.
Right. Anyway, thanks for bringing us down again.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. I'll fly right in here like the spirit of death.
But on that note, this is why I love my segment. It is called Conspiracy Corner, and you, sir, obviously have a larger tinfoil crown than I do. And I can't find mine tonight, but you've given me the confidence to go like barebacked tonight. We're not. I'm not going to put on my tinfoil hat.
Shiny right up here, so I think you should have the confidence too.
We're gonna do it. So we're gonna get into Conspiracy Corner, and this works in a certain way, but I'll tell you about it after we get into the corner.
Roger.
I wanna live with a conspiracy girl. I could be prepping the rest of my life with a conspiracy girl.
Those weren't aliens.
And that Conspiracy Girl stinger song is from our good friend, Dr. Clown. I'm sure you've come across Dr. Clown. He's been on. Okay. We love Dr. Clown. And I love that song.
That was funny. Yeah.
All right. So Conspiracy Corner works as follows. We have a Wheel of Conspiracy that one day I'll update, but I'm lazy. I'm a woman. I'm lazy. All right.
Own it.
I'm owning it. I did. All right. So the way, and so Kaz, if we can bring the Wheel of Conspiracy up, that would be fantastic. So Will here can see it. So there's all these topics on here. The way the wheel works is you get to spin it 3 times. You can choose to stay on topic 1 or 2, but if you choose to spin it a 3rd time, you're stuck with that topic no matter what. But the fantastic thing about being on Creative Chaos spinning the Wheel of Conspiracy is we are a satire magazine, so it doesn't matter if you actually know anything about said conspiracy because you can talk out your ass. It's also why I love having writers on. Do you understand how the wheel works?
I'm thinking I get it. Yeah.
All right.
Cosmac, switch images, Cosmac. You've got your face up, not the wheel.
I see the wheel.
I see the wheel.
We're ready to spin the wheel. Let's do it.
Okay. How do you do it? There you go.
Are you interested in aliens? I don't know.
Not unless it's a movie.
All right. Sounds like we're going to spin it again then.
Yep.
All right, let's do it. Tartary. I don't know if you've gone down this rabbit hole, but it's crazy.
I have not.
All right.
Uh,
Old world. None of that stuff.
yeah. I've just never heard that word before. Tartaria?
Huh.
Never heard that.
All right.
Well,
Well,
let's
it's
give it
all.
another one. Let's give it another one.
All right. Well, you're stuck with
All
whatever
right.
it is.
We're going to be
And,
stuck.
but also, this is my show, so I can choose to give you another spin. So let's see what you get.
I'll take it. Cheating. You going to cheat for me?
Yes, of
That'll work.
course.
Fucking A.
I am the hostess with the mostest.
All right. Yeah, let's go with that. We can do
All
that.
right. We're going to talk about some transhumanism. And go.
Elon Musk wants to make us all robots. Fuck that guy. Look, he does some good stuff. I'm very much on board with going to Mars, the reusable boosters, and colonizing other planets. Very much on board. But when he walked out the other day with all those automatons, and Boston Dynamics starts showing you their independent automatons, man, we don't learn from our movie history. Our movies tell us that they're going to rise up and kill us, and we're not learning from this.
Well, I mean, that's called predictive programming, right?
Yeah. What did they call? There was a phrase.
Karmatic retribution.
No, that's not the one I was thinking of. There was a phrase that they would use for that, having something to do with projecting that out into the future to try to get you ready for it. And they used movies as a vehicle to do it. I can't remember what the phrase was, though. But yeah,
Is that not
transhumanism.
predictive programming?
Transhumanism, yeah, it could be, yeah.
All right.
Transhumanism is already happening if you think about it. I mean, we've got folks with very rudimentary bionic arms and legs. We've got cochlear implants that are working. We have ocular implants that are working. So it's the big problem with successful transhumanism is mapping the kilohertz in the brain, is understanding how to mate the electrical signal in the brain from the spinal column to nerves to apparatus. That's the real problem with transhumanism right now as it stands. But we'll probably get there. The amount of crazy shit that we are doing right now, it's just you wouldn't have thought about it 50 years ago.
Right. Now, and you see that as something that's somewhat negative?
I think that every time you replace a part of yourself, you lose a part of yourself. It goes without saying, right? It's a no-brainer. But I think that you lose a little bit more than that. And I think where transhumanism is going to come in for a lot of people is if they feel inadequate. If they feel inadequate, they're going to be very, very apt to start replacing parts of their body. If we get to the point where you can pull a brain out and drop it in a combat chassis, we're not that far away from that. They'll do it.
Oh, that is creepy.
Yeah.
Aren't they already
They'll do
doing it though with these kids?
Um,
Switching genders?
Well, that's more of an organic operation. Now, I consider all of that to be experimentation under the guise of humanitarian purpose, is what I consider that to be.
Yeah, and I'm just going to bring up Levi's commentary. It says, as a stroke survivor, I'm really tempted to get fixed. And I can only imagine, like anybody with any kind of physical ailment,
You know,
even you
right.
can be red pilled as shit and like kind of against it, but it's very tempting.
Yeah, of course it is. I think anything that people feel will lighten their workload or their perceived workload is a temptation to them. I mean, I can tell you firsthand, you can't get around the basic things in life. If you cannot get yourself used to the idea of putting in the work to make those things happen, you're probably not ever going to succeed at those things. You have to put in the work. That's a very overused statement in our sphere over here, but you have to put in the work. You've got to do it. You've got to be able to dedicate your mind to setting aside 6 months just to get the ball rolling, you know?
Right. Right, absolutely. And how do you feel about Australians' comment of obvious exceptions of chip helping somebody to walk again?
Well, I mean, I think it's legitimate. It's if there's an implant to stimulate your nerves or nerve growth or the repair of a spine, I don't see that as the same thing as replacing your spine with like a hardened combat chassis or something of that nature. I don't see that as the same thing. That's people that have discarded their humanity in favor of the machine to get something else. Strength, independence, cockiness. There's a lot of shit that comes with that too. You can't tell me that if somebody wasn't walking around like that, that they wouldn't feel superior to the next person that didn't have it.
Oh, good point. Never thought of that before,
You
but
know,
you're absolutely right.
mental
Well,
development.
well, and that's the thing too, because it's like the whole slippery slope argument of, you start with the people who absolutely, the whole, help people walk again, and then eventually it'll be just like, oh, I just want to think faster
Sure,
than everybody else and be able to solve equations.
sure, sure. And then where does that end as far as brain manipulation is concerned? Then eventually down the road, you're looking at being paired with a machine to have instructions implanted in your brain, and then muscle memory is the only thing that you need.
Right.
It's
Well,
going to get wild.
would you even have muscle memory, like real muscle memory, if it's not assisted?
I think you'd have to go through it a few times in order to get used to the pain of it because you've never done it before. If you could just implant it, let's say that you could go Matrix style and just implant a karate or a kung fu program. If you've never physically done that, and then all of a sudden you're physically able to do that, you know how to do it, your brain's adjusted to the movements, it's your muscle that's going to suffer.
Right. Ugh, it is. It's a creepy
Are
thing.
you?
I don't. I, don't- I,
Are you? Are you? Are you proud of that? I don't know.
I just thought it was a funny comment.
Well, they're loaded with them, so
Yes.
they've got them. They're ready to go.
Well, fantastic. Hey, we have one last segment before we close out
All
tonight,
right.
and I chose something very special for you. Every guest gets Flip City branded, and it's not in a weird sex cult kind of way. So settle
Well,
down.
thank you. I'm already accused of that, so thank you.
Okay, good. We are going to Flip City brand you. What it comes with is invitations back to any of our FAFO streams where we do a ton of live reads and celebrate comedy in this humorless world. And I like to choose things that I think the guest will like. And given the fact that you do like pop culture and entertainment commentary,
Yes,
and you're also kind of doing a superhero type story, I chose a superhero thing for you.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to bring that screen up. This is what superheroes could be doing to save the world. And we've got 4 superheroes here. Regular viewers, it might be a repeat, but we love hearing different guests read their favorite or least favorite superheroes. So here's your 4 choices. We have got Plastic Man, Invisible Woman, Superman, and the Punisher. How would you like to see one of these superheroes saving the world the way they should be?
Oh man, I would like to see Superman reject gay and lesbian cultish behavior and laser eyes the entire planet.
Well, I'm not sure if that's exactly what happens, but I think there might be a nod to one of those things in it. All right, you just read this and you're branded.
All right. Oh, so read it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
All-American urban crime fighter Superman now aspires to save everyone from imminent death at the hands of diversity hires. I was pretty close. With mass transportation systems run by the clowns obsessed with their hair and posting selfies on the internet, what's even keeping these aircraft in the air? When not holding up collapsing bridges, Superman escorts jets all the way home. But with so many potential disasters, even he can't do it alone. He recruits Supergirl and Iron Man and forms a superhero squad devoted to propping up airplanes to avoid an airline holocaust.
Awesome. And that is how Superman could be saved.
Cool. Yeah, it was a little tamer than what I said, but
I thought there was maybe a nod to the whole not kissing boys, but we've done multiple Superman things. That's in another piece.
Yes, ma'am. I just think, and that's a perfect example of why and how I got into making a book and all of the associated things that go with that book and that brand new world. Was Superman's son is gay, and Wonder Woman's probably going to be gay at some point. Poison Ivy is bisexual. The Black Cat is bisexual. Aqualad fucks dolphins now. I'm not joking.
Wait, that's not for real though.
No, that's for real. That's
really?
for real. Yeah, that's been displayed in a book. And they turned the Golden Age Green Arrow into a dock walking. You use your imagination. He walks docks and finds boyfriends. Yeah, so that's what they did with the Golden Age Green Arrow. Green Lantern. Pardon me, Green Lantern. Pretty discouraging. And if you found out most of the reasoning for stuff like that, the DEI crap set aside. When you change Spider-Man, you change Batman, you change Superman or Flash, most of it comes down to rights and the ability of the company to keep using the trademark. So that's why they tried to give you Black Spider-Man with Miles Morales, was so that they could make another creation out there to use in case they lost the Spider-Man trademark. They did the same thing with the Schusters and Superman. That's why you have Superboy. That's why you have Super Lad. And all of this stuff. It's really skeevy, filthy, underhanded shit. And I'm tired of it. So that's why I decided I was going to go and do my own thing.
Well, let me ask you, how do you feel about the potential of the indies overtaking, the mainstream because of all the bullshit? I mean, I know there's been, the Comicsgate things going on for a while.
Yeah, it's going strong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's going strong.
Except for, I'm not a huge fan of all the drama in it, but
no, there's a lot of that. But you got to consider where some of that drama comes from too. I mean, it has very legitimate beginnings. Being given, we'll take the Ethan Van Sciver, Eric July thing as an example. Being handed a night letter, which is essentially a demand to fall in line or else, by somebody like Eric July, that has to be answered. Everybody out there that is on either side of this understands that was what kicked all of this shit off.
Okay, we're going right back into mansplaining because I have no idea what this is. What is this night letter? What happened?
When Ethan and some of these other fellas like John and Shane were in the mainstream industry, they were being pushed out of the industry covertly. They were being told one thing and they were being pushed out for reasons entirely different. Essentially, their politics. If you were Christian or conservative, if you voted Republican, and the people in these industries found out about that stuff, once these folks were in place, these very, very left-leaning people were in place, they made a concerted effort to ostracize and push out anybody that wasn't them. Well, essentially, when they got over to the indie space, Ethan and a few others made Comicsgate. He made his channel, Comic Artist Pro Secrets. John and Shane made their channels. They all kind of come together and support one another and do the best that they can. And then a few years later, along comes Eric July. Well, Eric July is not in or around the comic scene. He's a political commentator. He was in dance videos. He did a emo screamo band. What did they call? I can't remember what they called him, but it's like death metal, almost like death metal. But he was like the black head of that particular band. So he wasn't affiliated with comics. And then he just started picking it up around 2017, 2018. And he was going to all of these guys for help to get covers done. And then he stabbed him. He stabbed him pretty hard. There were some legitimate criticisms over his first effort. He got blasted out into the world by the Blaze TV, who's connected to Fox News, who was connected to Jesse Waters' show on Fox, which is a global show. So he ended up generating close to $4 million with that first campaign. Blaze, Fox, Jesse Waters, all conservative, Christian, basically white. And when that product came out, it was not good. It was not good at all. So most of that crowd took off, and it's been diminishing receipts and diminishing returns ever since. And there was a huge criticism that came out for that first effort by a fella named Dick Masterson. The criticism was not untoward. It was not a bad criticism. It was legitimate. I did a review of that book, and I said almost exactly the same thing before I had seen Dick Masterson's critique. So Eric July took that very personally, and then he started talking to people like Ethan and John and Shane and telling them that if they didn't fall in line, that he was going to respond in kind. So that's kind of where we're at with the drama that's going on over there. You have to keep your group, whatever it is that you go to. If you got a comic club, if you got a role-playing club, a book club, a CD club, as pure as you can keep it. And believe me, I know how that sounds. It's called gatekeeping, right? There's good gatekeeping and there's bad gatekeeping. They were initially gate-kept out of mainstream comics, and they had to go and form their own thing and do their own thing. And now they're gatekeeping those exact same people out of Comicsgate. And it's causing problems because these people feel that they should just be able to pop up in here, do whatever they want, use the Comicsgate crowd, astroturf their shit over there, and people are just going to come up and support them. And it's just not true. It's not true. You've got to put in the effort over there. You have to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. I mod on several channels in Comicsgate. I promote several projects over there. Now, I'm not a full-time promoter, but I promote several projects over there. And I'm as friendly, as decent, and as nice as I can be, as long as you're friendly, decent, and nice too. If you're not, I got a split tongue, and I get your ass with it. But
yeah, well, it seems like one of the easiest things to be is friendly and decent and nice.
It is. But you have to have a head on your shoulders too, because if you're friendly, decent, and nice to the wrong people, they will absolutely try to fuck you. Pardon my language. They will try to get up under you and manipulate you. So, and I've had to learn all those things the hard way too.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's basically the way I've since independently publishing for 5 years, but not so much in the Comicsgate space until more recently.
Right.
But I learned my lesson in other communities is
Right.
any which way you step, you're probably going to step in a pile of shit.
Which is, I agree with you 100%, and which is why you should always just be yourself. Be faithful to who you are. Develop that. You can take all the good stuff from the people that are warring around you and drop the dumb shit. And
That's great advice. I actually really appreciate that.
Sure. Even if they're not getting along, even if they're not getting along, everybody has something decent to say, some pearl of wisdom to drop. Take that, learn from that. But all of the other garbage that comes with it, if it's not your speed, not your style, you don't want to stay invested in it, leave it behind. You're not obligated to take it. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, because me personally, like in the past year and a half, 2-ish years, everybody I've met has been fantastic to me. I haven't had to really white knight or, any of that bullshit. But because I think you just kind of like expressed it for myself. I'm like, it's because that's not me. I'm not going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
I'm not
it's
taking
not really
sides or, involving myself in it.
I don't have a problem taking a side if the side is clear, if it's right. I don't have a problem saying you shouldn't have tried to extort loyalty from somebody when they went out of their fucking way, way out of their way to help you. that was a mistake. And these
Right.
folks are not admitting to that mistake. And that's the backbone of all of the problems over there.
Well, I think it's also that you have to know that those things happened and who's got the time.
Sure.
I
Sure.
guess you
a
do.
lot of
No.
people don't, but I do. I've been pretty invested in this for a number of years now. So I definitely do have the time to kind of keep up with the ins and the outs of stuff like that. And it helps to keep a clear head. That's one of the reasons that we have such the amount of failures that we have, like in public education, in politics, because there's a mountain of information that goes behind what you're looking at. And you're not seeing it clearly until you understand the information behind it. And nobody has the time for it, and they don't want to.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. I think a good number of people that I have met and spoken with, kind of about this subject are, kind of hands off. I don't really pay attention, and I'd prefer, for me, I prefer it. It's like, don't ask me my opinion. Like, I cannot give it because I don't know the whole story. Why would I?
Right.
Like, I don't know how many people like shared each other's DMs.
Right.
And
Well, that's a good plan to have. If you're not, I say it quite often. I say I don't have enough information to give you an informed opinion on that, so I can't give you an opinion.
right. Yeah, it is funny. The very, very, and this person will remain nameless, but the very first person I met in the kind of creator-owned comics scene said, "Stick with me. I'll tell you who to trust and who not to trust." And I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. And then I started watching their social media feed, and they're like the biggest drama farmer in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. I won't pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. I can see where that would come from a good spot if they were really like that. But when you get somebody saying something like that to you, it hardly ever comes from a good spot.
Yeah, I agree.
And so hardly ever. It's like, I don't want you to see all of that shit over there. Just listen to me, bitch. I'll tell you what's up. Yeah. Yeah, it's like that. I'll be your tour guide.
Yeah.
Fuck that, man.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna start wrapping up tonight. So we're
Wonderful.
gonna start with you, Will. What do you want people to do? I know you've got a campaign live, and I'm gonna drop that link again, but tell
Thank you.
people where to find you and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, you can find me on Hammerhand 10. That's with a Roman numeral X. Hammerhand X is my current men's channel. It is a MGTOW channel. It's a Manosphere channel. I speak directly to men over there. So if you're a young lady or woman and you show up over there, don't be offended. Try not to be offended. You'll probably be offended, but it is what it is. And we don't have enough men talking to men. So that's what I do over there. For Pop Culture Rocks, you can pop on over there. I do everything pop culture related. And I don't really do it on a schedule. Folks want me to do that. YouTube wants you to do that. But I don't talk mindlessly unless I have something to talk about or address. I do one weekly show over there. It's called Two Piece and a Biscuit. We get all of the rabble rounded up for the week, and we discuss it. We talk about it, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. If I go watch movies, I do movie reviews over there, and that's about it, really, and just my opinion on stuff.
Hey, just kind of regarding movies, are you enjoying movies anymore?
Am I
Are there
what?
things? Are you enjoying movies still? Are
No.
there good things out? Okay, I was
No.
wondering.
No, I'm 0 for 3 with the last 3 movies that I have seen. So that was Thunderbolts, Ballerina, and Sinners. So I wish I had that money back in my pocket.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reclaim your time.
That's the thing. Like we've reclaimed our time so many years ago. The last movie we saw in the theater was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
And then we were disappointed with that too.
Oh, wow.
And it's like,
That's
never
a long road.
again.
That's a long ways. Yeah, you can see what's happened out there. The same, it's in all facets of entertainment. There's this enormous leftist, Marxist, commie vein that's in everything now, and it's dying out. But unfortunately, it's taking the apparatus of entertainment with it. So that's why you see people cropping up all over the independent space, whether it's music or movies or comics, no matter manga, anime, no matter what it is. There are independents coming up everywhere that are having enormous success because they're just taking out the ideological subversion and the patronizing propaganda that is in this shit now. So, and Hollywood has not managed to cultivate writers and artists and directors, so they're directing and writing and committing artistry by committee. So it's very confused and convoluted, and it shows in the end product.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. And so basically, if people are going to go watch your review channel, expect to not hear a lot of positive stuff.
I give it where it's warranted. You know, even if it's a stupid funny movie, I'll say it's a stupid funny movie. You know, it cost X amount of dollars to get into the stupid funny movie, but I could recommend it. Right? There are some things that they have canon and they have lore that you must abide by, and they're not doing that. Star Wars, Star Trek, Raiders of the Lost Ark, any of the Marvel films over the last 10 years, they're just not doing it anymore. So I could never give a thumbs up to those because they're just thrown together pieces of shit. And the TV shows are even worse.
Yeah.
I actually saw a decent movie on Netflix last night. If you want to sit back and enjoy, it's a little heart wrenching, but Nonas. And it's a true life story about an Italian family. Mom and grandma passed away, and the son, now an adult, opens up a restaurant and hires grandmothers to cook for him.
Huh. Can't go
And
wrong there.
it was a good story. And it's based on a true story. And the restaurant is still out in Staten Island to this very day.
That's wonderful.
So Nona, if you want a good heart tug movie, go watch Nona's on Netflix. It was well worth it.
That's wonderful. That sounds great.
All right, and then Bruce, where can everybody find you? What do you do in these days?
Well, when I'm not here on Thursday nights, during the weekends on Sunday, I'm with Cosmac Grandpa and two other fine gentlemen. We call ourselves Three Beer Men. That's the number 3, BEERMEN.TV is our website. But we stream on several platforms through Meg TV, Madness Entertainment Group, and Pill.net. But we talk about pop culture, technology, and beer. So we cover a lot of the same things, Will. And we do enjoy what we do. We don't talk politics. We don't try to get negative or derogatory. We just try and keep it light and breezy because it's a Sunday night and everybody's got to work on Monday morning.
There you go.
Fantastic. And then for us in particular, of course, we are Flip City Magazine. Well, I'm Flip City Magazine for now, but there are a ton of people involved with this. We've been publishing the hottest mess takes on pop culture, entertainment, and politics in a beautiful, shiny, glossy, full color package called Flip City Magazine. You can find that at flipcitymag.com if you want more information, or if you just want to go check out our campaign. We've got one going right now on Fund My Comic. It's fundmycomic.com/flipcity25, and I dropped that in the chat as well. Dude, I really hope that I have peeled a couple of your audience off for
I hope
this
so.
show, because they're good. You know, you told me backstage they're salty, and I said I like salty people. None of this was salty. It was all fun and great chat. Thank you so much to everybody that came over to check out Will on Creative Chaos. I hope you guys check out more shows because we have a new creator on every single week. And likely at some point, I'm going to have somebody on that you hate. So that'd be interesting.
There you go. Are you throwing future guests into the fire?
No, because we just discussed this. Like, I don't know who has beef with who, and I'm like, hey, you're an indie thing. You're doing this indie thing, and you don't seem like a dick. Like, come on, my show.
I'm
Have fun.
a dick. I save that for special people. You know, yeah.
Well, thank you for keeping it under control tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. You're welcome.
Because I do. I actually I get a little butthurt and sad if people are directly mean to me.
No,
you can't punch the puppy.
No, don't kick the baby. No. I mean, look, I've been to interviews and stuff like this before, where you're lied to directly about what it's about, and then they try to go after you because you help men, and then when they go after me, I go after them, and then I cut the interview short. So, and I'm glad that things like that don't happen.
Oh.
It hasn't happened for a number of years, but I'm glad that that's not happening for the most part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, this show is not dedicated to like grilling men, except for in Mansplain, maybe sometimes.
Well, the mansplaining, yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to do that.
Well, it's only for your benefit.
Well,
I
it's always
provided-
for my benefit. I'm a man, right? I benefit from everything. And I'm
Excellent.
too white. I got that white benefit too.
Well, and it sounds you have children, and so you're straight. So basically, you're the most hated human being and American.
Oh,
on-
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
the most hated human being on the face of
Oh,
the planet.
man. Yeah, I got that. The 5 most things you can be, I've got all 5 of them. So, yeah.
Yep. And you are the most. And on that note, we're going to cut it out tonight. If you want to hang out with us backstage, you're more than welcome.
Sure, I'll hang out.
But thank you to everybody that showed up tonight. This was Creative Chaos. We'll see you next week, Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Come back and see who our guest is next week. We're going to have a good time. So bye. This is where I wave. You can wave if you want.
Peace.
Good night.
Okay, class. List everything insensitive, exclusionary, bigoted, nationalistic, misogynistic, and offensive that you can find in history's great myths and legends. Extra points for suffering panic attacks or emotional outbursts. Fact check every opinion against the lived experience of your comrades and allies, so you can avoid forming a criminal opinion. Scrutinize it cover to cover. Wrongthink, misgendering, dead naming, misinformation, microaggressions. Leave no page unturned.